Another way to get an arm throw that I think is very effective is simply to go all the way down on your knees. That's particularly true if you get any type of motion of your opponent into you. So if he's pushing into me and I give way and go underneath him, if I'm pushing against my opponent, all of a sudden he's not there, again, there's a tendency for my weight to go forward. And that's going to give me an opportunity to throw. I'm going to put my body under his body, almost between his legs, not so much, not too much out in front, but almost under his legs here, almost like on the fireman's carry that we did. I kind of scooted almost underneath his hips. Again, I want to be a fulcrum, which is going to be the same situation in this type of an arm throw. And I'll continue with the same type of a grip, whether it's inside or outside on that arm throw. And I found that this is a very effective type of throw. And quite frankly, for a little guy like me, if I'm going to try to arm throw somebody bigger and I'm going to try to get this hip pop in, sometimes they're just too darn big for me to do that. Yet, especially because I'm tiny, people will typically try to push me back, and I'm going to have to retreat because I'm not going to have as much push power as somebody that's 150 plus pounds. And I found that by pushing back, they push back into me, I can come straight down here, and I can do my throw. And if they're pushing into me and I drop down here, all of a sudden they're underneath, and I'm going to take that arm and continue on with the throw. So from this position here, if I felt Colby was pushing into me, especially if he's a lot bigger here, I'm going to step, and now I'm going to come down to my knees, just like in the fireman's carry from the perspective of I'm going to go down on both knees. So from here, I'm going to come down to this position here, right to here. So from here, I'm just going to step. Now instead of back stepping like this, I'm going to throw my feet through here. Kind of just stay still, Colby, here from here. I'm going to come here. I'm going to step. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to step to here. Step to here. You'll notice I want to keep upright. I do not want to step and be leaning forward. I want to first step, be upright so that everything is locked up tight here with the grip to this position here. Then I'm going to throw it from here. Now, we did that statically there. He was standing. But remember, this is in a dynamic situation where he's pushing forward. So he's going to be going with continuous movement from his push into me. When I get underneath, he's still moving forward. And when I continue the throw, it's all one movement. Now you'll notice here, I'm in very tight. My body is upright. There's a lot of friction. Back of his arm, in tight. My elbows are in tight to my body. Sometimes from here I'll just clap my own hand, but I get as quick as I can to the arm, and I'm going to turn my head down, but I'm also going to torque it to the side this way. From here. Naturally, you can use any of the setups, whether it's the push-in, circle, fake drag, pummeling, and go down to your knees. It's just the finish there is different. Instead of coming into the back step, regardless of how I prepare for the attack, I'm going to finish up on my knees. And again, when I come through, I don't want to come straight down this way. I'm very tight and locked up and up right here. And as I come down here, I'm going to also torque this way. So my body's bending and I'm torquing at the same time. Like this. If I need to get some balance here, I can bring this up. Because typically, when I finish it here, when I finish from this position here, I come down here, my head is going to come down. Like we've talked about before. Head in the chest. I push that head in when he pushes into me. And when he turns away, typically that's the most opportune time to get along across his body. Now you can also do an arm throw, or so-called reverse arm throw. Instead of coming inside to outside, we're going to come from outside to inside. I'm going to come this way. Most typically, that comes from the 2-on-1 position here. Again, my 2-on-1 position, I don't want to be low here. I want to be up as high as I can. I want my head inside. If I'm really up high here, quite frankly, I'd rather do a lot of other things besides throw. If I've really got his shoulder position where my shoulder is behind his shoulder and I'm up really high, I'm not going to typically think about throw. I'm either going to be jerking him down, attacking the legs, or dragging behind. I think that's the most efficient. But if my opponent starts to loosen his arm up a little bit, so if he gets a little space in there, all of a sudden my 2-on-1 isn't quite as good. Not only that, once he gets the shoulder out, he can start attacking, not attack, but come out in front and defend a little bit better. There's other things we talked about doing, like when he does that fireman's carry on the side, but we also have an arm throw, or outside, a reverse arm throw on the side. So I've got this good 2-on-1. He weasels out a little bit here. I'm going to give him a pop this way. What does he do? He steps. I'm circling him towards me from here. Then I'm going to do my back step to this position here. Now, this is a little different insofar as he's a little bit more perpendicular. I'm tending not to come right here. I'm going to typically, when I do this, be a little bit more perpendicular to him than most of my other arm throws. And from here, I'm going to pop my hips. A little bit. So from here, I pop my hips. You practice the beginning part of that just from here to here. Here to here. Here to here. I want to hold this tight here. Okay, I don't want to keep this up too far. I want to keep this in tight. I'm in tight here. Tug, tug, to here. There. This position right here. There. Now, if your opponent defends against that, a counter to that counter is typically a drag and a go behind. For example, if we're fighting in here, or wrestling or grappling in here, I give my little tug here, and I step through, and he starts to circle in front, which is what he wants to do typically. What I'm going to try to do at that point is adjust my grip from here to here, sag, and then like his arm is a rope here, I'm going to swing around in a tight circle. So as soon as I step in, if he backs away from here, I'm going to drag to this position here. I get very high up on that arm. One thing you'll notice from here, I'm not going to grab here. I'm going to grab, if I'm up high here, I want to transfer this up as high as I can get it. From here, and as I do that simultaneously from here, I'm going to reach up and I'm going to grab here. Okay, right on this side. I'm not trying to run around behind so much as sag, and then from here, as he's pulling up, I'm going to swing my hips and my body. Like his arm is a rope, and I'm just kind of going to swing like kind of in a tight circle. So Colby defends. As soon as I'm thinking of this high step, he defends here. I'm going to drag. That's particularly true now. If I get part of the way in here, Okay, from here, I'm going to switch, and I use a lot of weight from that position. So, from here, I'm in tight here, I'm going to give a tug, and I step, and he starts to scoot around a little bit. I'm going to immediately transfer to here and bring him down, or of course from here, go to single. Typically, I'll be able to bring my opponent down. Again, I put a lot of weight, I'm hanging here. From here, this position here, I give a tug, I step in, and he comes around. Immediately from this position, there's a lot of weight on this side, on this arm, and on this leg here. I'm in this position here. And then now, you see I'm more a little in front here. I'm going to just skip around, and I'm hanging. I'm not going to jump up and take the weight off my opponent. As I throw my hips back, his body is taking my weight the whole time. It's like I'm dragging him down as I do that. I'm not doing this. I'm not jumping up and circling to where I would take the weight off of him. As I'm circling, that whole time it's like I'm dragging him down and putting a lot of weight on that. One more time. I'm in here. I give a tug. I step. He comes around in front. I switch to this position here. Hanging on very tight. And bring him down to the mat.